Okay, get ready for this deep dive. We are diving into a book that's giving me chills just reading the description. This Cursed House.
Ooh, okay.
The Southern Gothic horror novel. It's set in 1962 in New Orleans, and it has like all the ingredients for a spooky and thought-provoking read.
You had me at Southern Gothic in New Orleans.
Right.
That's like the setting is already a character,
Mm.
dripping with atmosphere.
Totally, totally.
So what is this story about?
Okay, picture this. Jemma. She's a young black woman.
Okay.
She can see spirits.
Whoa.
She's looking for a fresh start, so she leaves Chicago.
Okay.
She takes a job down in New Orleans,
Oh, wow.
working for the Duchamp family.
The Duchamp family.
And this family, let me tell you, is anything but ordinary.
Okay. A young woman with supernatural gifts.
Mm-hmm.
A mysterious family. New Orleans in the 60s.
Right?
I am intrigued already.
Yeah. So what kind of fresh start is she even looking for?
Right, like what is she running from or to?
Well, it seems like her gift is more of a burden for her. She's actually been running from it like her whole life.
Oh, okay.
But what's really interesting is that the Duchamps, this light-skinned black family, are convinced that Jemma, with her ability to see spirits, is the key to breaking a curse.
Whoa, hold on. So they're convinced that she can break a curse that's been haunting them for generations even.
Yes. For generations.
That's a lot to unpack. What makes them think that she is the answer?
That is the mystery.
Hmm.
The description on penguinrandomhouse.com, where we got this,
Yeah.
thankfully doesn't give it all away, but it hints that the Duchamp's past is really tangled up with this curse.
Okay.
And it also seems like they have a lot of secrets that they're hiding.
Oh, so we've got our protagonist, Jemma, trying to escape her past. We've got this mysterious family with a shadowy history
Mm.
and a possible curse.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned that this is more than just a ghost story. What else is going on here?
This is where it gets really fascinating.
Yeah.
The book description specifically points out that the Duchamps look down on Jemma because of her darker skin.
Oh, wow. So not only is she dealing with this potentially dangerous curse, but she's also facing prejudice within her own community. That adds like a whole other layer of tension to the story.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if the author is using this to say something about colorism
Oh, yeah.
and how it even plays out within these marginalized groups.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially, this is set in 1962.
Right, the heart of the civil rights movement.
Exactly. So it makes you think about how her journey might mirror the struggles for equality and acceptance
Totally.
that were happening in society at the time. It's like a microcosm.
Exactly, yeah.
It's a really good point. So it seems like this novel is using supernatural elements to explore some very real and complex social issues.
Right.
What about the whole generational trauma angle that you mentioned in the intro?
Right, so the book hints that the family's curse might be connected to the Duchamp's past, and the author specifically mentions the history of slavery and racism in the American South. It makes you wonder what secrets are buried in their family history,
Oh, for sure.
and how those secrets might be contributing to their current predicament.
So it's not just about breaking a curse. It's about confronting the sins of the past and how they continue to haunt the present.
Yeah.
That's a very classic Southern Gothic theme, but I'm curious to see how Sandeen, the author, tackles it,
Yeah.
in a contemporary way.
Yes, totally. It seems like this is going to be a wild ride of a story. It's going to be exploring everything from the supernatural to the complexities of family and the legacy of racism.
Yeah, it sounds like this cursed house is setting up a lot of questions, like, will Jemma be able to help the Duchamps break free from their past? Or will she get swept up in their secrets and the curse that binds them?
Her.
And like, what does any of this have to do with her gift?
Yeah, it's like she stepped right into the middle of a mystery, and now she has to figure out how to survive it.
Exactly.
I'm especially curious to see how she handles the Duchamp's prejudice.
Right.
Like, will she confront them? Will she try to understand it? Or will she just try to escape?
And what about the spirits?
Yeah.
What role will they play in all of this? It sounds like she might encounter more than just friendly ghosts in New Orleans.
Mm.
I mean, the city's history is practically overflowing with stories of voodoo and the supernatural.
Well, for sure. And with a family as old and secretive as the Duchamps, I wouldn't be surprised if some family ghosts show up to complicate things even further.
Oh, I bet. It's fascinating to me that this curse might be more than just supernatural.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it could be a metaphor
Okay.
for all of the internal struggles and secrets the Duchamp family has been carrying around.
Right, right. It's like this physical manifestation of all their, like, unresolved issues and trauma. And speaking of buried secrets, we haven't even talked about the whole passing as white thing.
Right, yeah. Especially, like, think about it. New Orleans in the 1960s.
Yeah.
Imagine that internal conflict, the pressure
Yeah.
to just deny a part of your identity, try and fit in a society where you're kind of like othered.
Totally. It makes you wonder, like, what choices did they even make to kind of maintain their position in society?
Right.
How did that contribute to this curse?
It's almost like they tried to escape their past,
Mm-hmm.
but they're trapped by it.
Right.
And then Gemma comes in,
Mm-hmm.
and she can't hide her blackness.
Right.
She's a living, breathing reminder of the identity they've tried to suppress.
It's true.
I bet that creates some tension.
Oh, for sure. Especially, like, the book even says that they look down on her for her darker skin.
Oh, wow.
It's like they're projecting all this internalized racism onto her.
It really suggests that, like, the curse is not just this, like, external force.
Yeah.
It's intertwined with their own prejudices.
Yeah.
And the racist ideologies of the time.
So how do you think Gemma's going to react to all this?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Is she going to try and, like, educate them,
Right.
challenge their views? Or is she going to be so focused on just, like, getting out of there?
Right.
That she doesn't even have the bandwidth to deal with their, like, crap.
She's in a tough position, right?
Yeah.
Like, she's there to help break this curse,
Mm-hmm.
but she's also being judged and ostracized
Yeah.
because of how she looks.
It's true.
Like, you have to wonder if confronting their prejudice becomes a part of her mission.
Yeah.
Maybe even, like, a key to breaking the curse.
Ooh, that's a good point. What if, like, breaking the curse involves the Duchands confronting their own internalized racism
Exactly.
and accepting Gemma for who she is?
Right.
Like, it'd be a really powerful message about the ways that prejudice just holds us captive,
Totally.
even when we're the ones kind of perpetuating it. So we've got this interplay of supernatural elements, complex family dynamics, social commentary.
Mm-hmm.
But what about Gemma's journey? Like, she came to New Orleans looking for a fresh start.
Right.
And it seems like she's walked into a hornet's nest.
Oh, yeah. And let's not forget, she's got this gift
Right.
that she's been running from her whole life.
Mhm.
Like, what even led her to fear this part of herself?
Yeah.
And how's that fear going to play out in a city like New Orleans?
Right. A place that's just steeped in the supernatural.
Exactly.
I imagine New Orleans could be terrifying, but it could also be exhilarating
Right.
for someone like Gemma,
Yeah.
On one hand, it's a city where spirits just roam freely,
Yeah.
but it's also a place where her gift might be accepted,
Totally.
maybe even embraced.
Yeah.
It's like she's entering this world where that veil between the living and the dead is thin,
It's true.
which could be liberating, but also really dangerous,
For sure.
especially with that curse hanging over everything.
Right. Yeah. We still don't even know the specifics of it,
Right.
but it's got a hold of them in their house.
Yeah. What kind of spirits do you think she's going to encounter in this crazy place?
I mean, considering New Orleans history,
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some figures from, like, way back, like even some spirits connected to, voodoo or the slave trade.
And then there are the Duchamp family ghosts.
Right.
With all their secrets and that long history, there's some restless spirits lurking in that house.
Imagine the stories they could tell.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
All those little pieces of the puzzle.
Right.
It's like she's not only navigating the living Duchamps,
Mm-hmm.
but also like echoes of their ancestors.
And what about Gemma's own ancestors? Do you think their spirits might play a role?
Ooh.
Like offer her some guidance or protection?
That's a great question.
Right.
It would be really interesting to see how the author explores that connection between Gemma and her lineage.
Yeah.
Especially with a story that's so focused on generational trauma
Yeah.
and the weight of the past.
Gemma's gift, the thing she's been running from, might actually be the key to unlocking everything.
It's like that classic trope where the thing you fear most turns out to be your greatest strength.
Right.
But here it's not just about Gemma. It's about how her ability to see spirits might force the Duchamps to confront, their own past.
Literally and figuratively. And don't forget the historical context. New Orleans in 1962.
Oh, right, yeah.
A time of huge social change and racial tension. Do you think the author's drawing parallels between Gemma's journey and, the larger civil rights struggle?
That's definitely possible.
Yeah.
You've got Gemma, this young black woman with this unique gift,
Mm-hmm.
entering this space occupied by the Duchamps. this light-skinned family who have benefited from a system that privileges them.
Hmm.
Just her presence challenges their world.
And the fact that they look down on her for her darker skin just adds another layer to it all. It's like the author saying, even within the Black community, there's these hierarchies of power,
Exactly.
and colorism plays a huge role.
Gemma's struggle to, gain acceptance and break the curse could be seen as this microcosm of the larger fight for equality
Right.
and dismantling systemic racism.
So, what message is the author even trying to convey here? Is it about forgiveness and reconciliation? Or is it more about breaking free from the chains of the past?
Maybe it's both. Maybe the story suggests that healing can only happen when we acknowledge the wrongs of the past
Yeah,
and then actively work to dismantle the systems that perpetuate them.
that makes sense. What about Gemma's role in all this?
Yeah.
Do you think she'll be the one to kind of guide the Duchands toward healing? Or will she just walk away?
That's a tough one. On one hand, she's a compassionate person,
Yeah,
and she seems to be drawn to helping others.
yeah.
But she also has her own trauma to work through, right?
Right.
So it's not surprising if she chooses to just prioritize her own well-being.
It's wild how this deep dive has gone from a spooky haunted house story to, like, a conversation about race, prejudice, and history.
Right.
It's really amazing how storytelling, something as simple as a ghost story even, can make you think about these things.
And that's the beauty of Southern Gothic, right?
Yeah.
Using the supernatural to explore these, darker parts of human experience
Yeah.
and how the past shapes us.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners? What should they be thinking about after this?
I think the biggest question is this. If you were Gemma, knowing what you know about the Duchands, their curse, and how they think, would you stay and try to help? Or would you just walk away?
That's a great question. Really makes you think about your own values. Would you be drawn to the challenge? Would you want to make a difference? Or would it all just be too much?
And that's what makes this Cursed House such a good read. It's not just a ghost story. It's a story about choices, about how we face fear and prejudice, about the ghosts that haunt us.
If you're interested in learning more, definitely check out This Cursed House. It'll be chilling, thought-provoking, and unforgettable. Until next time, happy reading.